towards the influence of Saturn, not necessarily where it rose, but perhaps towards another monument or the horizon. But because of this, it gave Stonehenge a quite dark aspect, because Saturn is associated with the colour black, with death, mortality, and the end of time, basically. I find this theory a little odd, but the association with time, I think, is very important, because these stone circles often seem to reflect the idea of the passage of time.
Saturn is a fascinating planet because in the Greek mythology, it was Kronos, who was actually the Titan, the ruler of all the gods. And Zeus, Jupiter, had to overthrow Saturn in order to, A, survive, because Kronos was swallowing his own children. And there's something to be said for this relationship of Saturn to Satan, the adversary, the time itself, the old devil being time, because what do we know as humans? The one thing we all run up against that we cannot defeat is time. So Saturn, as this sort of ring lord, actually it's called Lord of the Rings. It was considered a very destructive planet, and it's difficult to understand exactly why. Each planet has a certain resonance. Mars for war, Pluto is sort of the outlier, Venus is for love, but Saturn has been this sort of monster in mythological history.
You had this understanding of Saturn and Kronos as being the sort of governors of time. There were certain mechanistic aspects of it, but it was also very fluid, and you have to associate the fact that there were cycles within cycles within cycles. By the time we get to the Greeks and the Romans, everything becomes very narrowly minded. It's very logical, linear, and you can't do that. Nature is not linear by any sense of the imagination. And you see that a lot of that reflected in a lot of the stone circles, for example. But there's another layer to this understanding. Although they built stone circles to be markers of time, they also understood them to be observations of the heavens, which are in themselves cyclical and repetitive. It wasn't so much a sort of a linear